Every single line means something. That is a quote by Jean-Michel Basquiat, renowned artist of the Neo-Expressionism movement. I am Spencer Nugent. I'm a designer based in Salt Lake City, Utah, and today this is part 3 of my 8-part series. For this episode, I'm going to teach you some concepts around lines, how I use them, and how you can use them as well by applying certain principles and techniques, whether you're drawing on pen and paper or you want to jump into something like Adobe Illustrator and use these ideas as well to put some extra life into your work. Now, I have a few pens here. I have a regular pen that I would write with. I have a Sharpie, and I also have a brush pen. These pens are going to give me a different look and feel. They're like the brushes or pens or strokes that you might find in something like Adobe Illustrator. Let's take a look at how we can add some expressiveness to each of these shapes. And if I draw on this square with a little bit of a wiggly line, we introduce a little bit of character, and I've now introduced some of my own personality into this shape. If I wanted to, I can enhance the line weight of something like this square by just drawing on the outside, and now we have a bold effect on the perimeter. You can even enhance the expressiveness in a line by doing something like a zigzag right here on one side and maintaining a neater appearance on the other side of your shape. Not only do lines define the inside and outside of something, but I can use a line or curve like this to then divide the shape. We can divide again, and now we have the beginning of some design. Lines, when used in rapid succession with a consistent stroke, can be used to define value or pattern and give a certain appearance to the thing that you might be working on. We can draw a series of parallel lines, for example, to create a value as well. Wavy lines together with a little bit of overlap can also be used to create another texture as well. And these tools are very simple, but they can be used to explore your design or to enhance your design as well. Now, one of the fun things about lines that I like is that we can use them to create some dimension. So if I add a thicker line to the outside of this circle here, and then just enhance the perimeter with a thinner line, I effectively have created a shadow right here. So now the circle looks like it is in front of the square. If these two shapes were connected, all we would have to do is enhance these lines. And if these lines are consistent, this is communicating that these are shapes that are intersecting but not overlapping. Let's jump into Adobe Illustrator and see if we can apply some of the same principles. I've placed some text on my artboard. I'm going to select this text and now create outlines. To do that, you can just right click and select create outlines, and now these shapes are just shapes instead of text. Let's go ahead and switch the foreground and background color, and now I have just some simple outlines. With one of the paths selected, if I select the pencil tool, I can actually go ahead and modify my lines. So much like the previous example, if I just draw with my pencil tool very close to the outline of the letter here, I can change the characteristic of this character. So this is a fun way, for example, to enhance some text. Now we're going to select the rest of this and see if we can make some other adjustments. And just like I did on paper, we can apply line weights to this as well. So one trick I like to use is you can select a path just like this. We can duplicate the path. I'm going to copy and paste this in front. Now I can go to my stroke window on the right here and select a different stroke weight, say 3 points here, and maybe I want to create a drop shadow on this but have it be vector. I'm going to go ahead and cut this path with my scissor tool, select the rest, delete it, and go ahead and do the same on this part of the letter A, cutting on the inside here to about there, and delete the rest of the path. So now I have these two line segments, and even though this is not finished, you can see the difference already. The other fun tool we can use is the width tool. So with a stroke selected and the width tool selected here, I can click on an anchor point and drag down and make this fade and taper. So now I've tapered to a very thin point here, and I can make this section a little bit thicker. And then on the very end of the line here, we can make this more narrow so that it blends in as well. So zooming out, you can see that I have this nice text effect now that's a part of the letter. And if I want to make the backside here a little thicker, add some character just in a specific place, I can go ahead and use the direct select tool, click, and add some thickness wherever I want it. So there's an example of line weight in Adobe Illustrator. If I want to add a zigzag boundary to one of these characters, I can simply scribble using the pencil tool, and I'm going to duplicate this over and make sure that at the end of my line here, I have some good overlap so that I can make a pattern. This is just the beginning of making a pattern brush so I can apply it to my stroke on the artboard. So what I want to do is be able to drag this anchor point to where it intersects, and with my smart guide slides on, I see that intersection point and I get a snap, and I can now go ahead and cut away the rest, because what we want to have happen is for these to continue to repeat. With my brush window open, I'm going to go ahead and drag this squiggle into the brushes. It's asking what I want to make. We'll select pattern brush and we see a little preview here. I usually just accept the default settings to start, hit OK, and let's apply our brush. And now you can see I've applied that brush characteristic or line quality just like we did on paper here in Illustrator. Another thing that we can do with lines in Adobe Illustrator is we can add some dimension and depth. Now there is a built-in 3D tool, but maybe you want to do something a little bit more complex and maybe something a little bit more interesting. To start, I'm going to use the pen tool just to add some waviness to my character here. And now that my character is wavy, I'm going to duplicate this character and place it behind. And now that I have the second letter A behind the first letter, I'm going to use the pen tool and do a quick redraw of the boundary just so that it makes it look like this is 3D. Just like so, and then on the top, a bit like that. And you can see the path behind is not perfect, and that's okay. On the inside here, I might want to make some other changes, and to the back side of the A. And now, much like we did on paper, I'm going to use lines to add a little bit of texture and perhaps character. Now, just for the sake of speed, to clean this up, I like to make the ends round and they just have a little cleaner appearance. To finish up, take both of these shapes, copy and paste them in front. Now going to my Pathfinder, I'm going to combine these shapes. Let's go ahead and remove the fill. Increase the line weight. Set my stroke alignment to the outside. Increasing the stroke weight now gives this a somewhat 3D appearance on the screen. So whether you draw on paper or you decide to draw in Illustrator, you can still maintain some expressiveness in the lines that you put on the screen. And like I said, you can do a lot with lines before we even jump into color. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I had fun, and hopefully these small, simple principles will help you elevate your work and add some expressiveness to the pieces that you might be working on. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to find me and connect online, I'm easy to find. I am at sketchaday.com on Instagram and YouTube, and my website is www.sketchaday.com. Just don't forget the hyphens. All right, take care, and I will see you next time.